head. It's like 50,000 gold. Is a bandit named Grandolph Lundgren. And I'm just like, okay. And so I take that, and Snapping Turtle, he decides he's going to climb a tree and use his his leaf thing to blend in with the top of this tree, um, high above where one of the guard towers would be posted in this town. So he snuck past the guards and climbed up the tree, past the guard tower, and actually hid up into the trees, vegetation, and he spied on the guards, and he got his information from them about the three people who were already killed, and about how there are these bandits that are led by Grandolph Lundgren, still at large, and he got his info that way, and our cat folk girl, what did Shay end up calling her? Uh, like I said, this didn't last too long. I'm fucking beat because I stayed up all night prepping for this stupid game that really never was. It was a 3-hour game, and we all got fucked up. So it yeah, it didn't go well. Um, I think she ended up going with Selena. For Selena Kyle, Catwoman. So she was a cat folk. She was like a snow leopard or something like that. Cat folk named Selena, and she goes in there, disguised as the Fat Woman, into the local bar, the local tavern, and listening to drunk people and stuff. She goes and orders a drink, and she's listening to the local gossip, and then the one guy who's just plastered out of his ass, and he's just, he's there, and he's just, spilling out all the gossip and stuff to his buddies and everything. And she goes and she buys him a drink, and she asks him about, local gossip, and you know, she rolls fairly good for, trying to woo a drunk guy who just so happened to be into, bigger chicks. So he told her all about it, and then she blew him off because, of course, yeah, that's not what she's there for. And I, and then Terry's character goes to the local place of worship, which is inside another tree, the second largest tree in town, mind you, other than the mayor's place. And he goes and he tries to get information out of the nun and stuff, posing as the monk. And she's, the nun's not really having it at first, she's just like, I'm not into, the affairs of others and the affairs of evil men, and this is my, home, my temple, this is the world I need to know. And he goes for a roll on his diplomacy, and he gets really high. And he convinces her that basically, he's trying to help out her people and everything like that, and he's trying to figure out, who's killing, you know, these people who are not, so great, and attracting a lot of attention and to this town, which could inadvertently cost innocents their lives. And he's kind of laying it on her. He's telling her that you know all this recent activity is going to cause the remaining crime syndicates that are here, which just so happen to be a few. He was scoping the place out beforehand, and he ran into the posters for the wanted list on the main bulletin in the town square where we all said we were going to meet back up after we were done. And he's like, with three of them dropping so soon, it's not going to be long before everybody's fighting to get their own stake in the territory and trying to find out and fighting to try and find out who's knocking them off one by one. And she tells him, well, the one you really need to be concerned about is Randolph Lundgren, the bandit leader outside of town who's been kind of trying to push his way into taking over this town from up underneath the mayor and everything like that. And he's, kind of been at war with the local crime syndicates who, deal in all kinds of underground stuff. Well, there's a crime syndicate for the market of traders and merchants, and there's another crime syndicate, which is pretty much like the thieves guild of this place. And, there's kind of a smaller crime syndicate of wayward mercenaries who have kind of grouped together in this, town, and they're kind of crooked. They overcharge people, and they often ask for more money, and if people can't pay, they kind of rough them up and everything, and shit like that. They're small things. And then the biggest guy is, of course, the bandit outside of town with a small army of people. And she tells him all this, and he goes back to the square, and he takes Randolph Lundgren's picture off the bulletin board. And by then, we all kind of group back together, and we've pretty much all come up with the same conclusion. One way or the other, we've all gotten the same poster, and we all show each other the same poster, and it's a great little moment. And so the plan is we're going to go and find Randolph Lundgren, and we're going to kill him, and we're going to use his hideout to wait for the other assassins to come by to claim his head, and when they get there, we're going to be there instead of him. And that was the plan, pretty much. We're going to go after the next biggest guy and try to get there before they do, pretty much. And we decided we were going to get a stagecoach and kind of pass ourselves off as travelers and stuff and try to see if one of Randolph Lundgren's patrolling groups pick us up off the side of the road, because they've been known to rob caravans, we found out, every now and then. So we were going to pass back up and down it, and try and grab his attention. And so immediately we go over to where, to one of the main stores where you would buy caravans and stuff, and the dude there, he's kind of an old salty bastard type. He's he's got an attitude problem because he's got age behind him, and he's just, he don't take no crap from nobody, and he's the dude who's selling the stagecoaches and stuff, and he's like, well, I ain't got any stagecoaches ready, and I've already got these people who've rented this out. They're coming back on by. They've already got their stuff in here, and I've got everything prepped for them. And I really don't feel like prepping another stagecoach today. So you're shit out of luck. And, he's just being a real jerk. And I'm just like, you know what? You know, and we're really unable to haggle with him because the thing is, by this point in time, we don't have enough money to actually afford the actual cost of the stage wagon. So on top of him not wanting to do his job and being an asshole about the whole thing, we already know there's no way we're going to haggle this guy down on the price. Because even if we put all our money together, we don't have enough to buy the stagecoach and the horses to go with the stagecoach, and and so I'm just like, you know what, fuck this, I'm a ninja assassin, and I'm like, I throw a kunai at his neck. He dodges, and he whips out his sword, and I use my reflex to counter and block it, and it turns out, he's a seasoned, fighter, and he spins around the second I block his first attack, and he spins around with his sword, and he goes in for another strike, but I make my saving throw, and I dodge it, and I'm like, yeah, I jump in the air to dodge his sword, and it kind of cuts my robe, but it doesn't get me. And I'm like, and while I'm dodging in the air, I'm going to come back down with the other end of my staff. And he's like, all right, great, make a roll for it. And I smack him right in the back of the head. And he goes down. Knock him out with one hit, which was really a good roll on my part. But then Terry's just like, okay, well, I'm just going to take out my blowgun, and I'm just going to shoot him in the back of the neck, and he does, and the dude dies. I'm like, all right, well, shoot him with poison blowgun dart while he's unconscious. That's nice. He's like, whatever. Character he was playing, I think he just called him Han. He was a human, bald-headed dude pretending to be a monk. Whole bunch of crazy shit on him. I think he just called him Han. um, I kind of remembered his nickname again more so than, like, him and Duncan both came up with nicknames that just kind of stuck because they were so outlandish. I mean, Snapping Turtle. I mean, come on, really. Han's nickname was Death Spear. You kind of don't forget a name like Death Spear. It's so ridiculous. So, yeah, we all just kind of called him Death Spear. His name was Han, but we were just like, hey, Death Spear, like, really. It's so ridiculous that you just have to call him by it. So, and unbeknownst to us, when we ended the campaign, he actually had nicknames for all the NPC ninjas that we'd run into, and he had like fucking 9 of these NPC ninjas. So it was just like, oh, okay. He clearly was planning a big fight with these people, But yeah, so anyways, I get back my kunai, I take it out of the door that it inevitably lodges itself into when I throw it and miss him.